Hello, this is Greg Berg with the weekly conservation update from the Waite Park Field Office of the Soil and Water Conservation District. First thing I want to talk to you about is not applying commercial fertilizers to snow-covered frozen soils. Dan Kaiser with the Extension Service and Nutrient Management Specialist with them has issued this just last week, and we want to talk to you about the concerns with this. With the recent snow that we've been having, and more to come the way it sounds, or is coming, it spurs the concerns with fertilizer application this spring. Application of fertilizer should not occur when the ground is still frozen, and especially on the top of snow. Commercial fertilizer products are water soluble, they dissolve readily in liquids, and there's an extreme risk of fertilizer to run off the field with snow melt, regardless of the fertilizer source. So wherever you're putting it on and however you're putting it on with snow and frozen soils, it can be bad news. In order for the soil to retain the nutrients, it needs to come in contact with the soil particles. That reaction does not happen, obviously, when soils are frozen. Fertilizer applied will move with water off the field into the low areas of the field. And even if there are not environmental risks with this, which there are, if you're not considering that, even if you're looking at the economics of this, applying fertilizer on frozen or snow-covered soils presents a significant economic risk, and that purchased material won't be available to your crop when it's growing in the field. So, if the soil is still frozen, but there is no snow, can I safely apply fertilizer, you might ask? And that depends on how much precipitation might occur in the future. Solid soil does pose a significant risk of loss in a precipitation event, because obviously it's a fairly hard surface when that ground is still frozen. And if you get rain or snow, it runs off. To avoid that economic and environmental risk, for that matter, wait to apply your fertilizer until the soil thaws, and you can incorporate the fertilizer to a point where the nutrients can react with the soil. Now, you might ask, if I need to make multiple fertilizer passes this spring, what are the options, especially when we are getting a little tighter on days here in the spring? Well, phosphorus and potassium, I would get a soil test, is recommended. And for high and very high soil tests, it's not likely that P and K will be short. So P and Ks that's needed can be applied in the furrow as a starter. Mobile nutrients like nitrogen and sulfur are more critical for corn production, and that can have a crop level response to nutrients. So in most cases, nitrogen and sulfur application can be delayed until after planting to allow for spring application of phosphorus. That nitrogen contained with the phosphorus and fertilizer sources is used should be sufficient until an early side dress application of N is made. So the summary here is, when making fertilizer decisions, always err on the side of caution. Time is a limiting factor with spring application, but applying too early increases your risk for nutrient loss and affects your bottom line. So, in summary, don't end up paying for inputs that won't be available for your crop when it's needed most. For the latest on nutrient management information, you can check out the University of Minnesota Extension Nutrient Management page. And again, this is from Dan Kaiser. He's an Extension Nutrient Management Specialist. The next thing I want to talk to you about is a permit is needed when applying pesticide or fertilizer through an irrigation system. At some point, we're going to get to the time here where things are thought out and we're going to be able to need irrigation or want irrigation. And as Minnesotans look ahead to the growing season, Minnesota Department of Agriculture is sending out a reminder to people with irrigation systems, and many of you listening out there probably have them, is to plan to apply fertilizer or pesticide through your irrigation system. You are required to have a chemigation permit through MDA. And that permit for chemigation is required for farms, greenhouses, golf courses, nurseries, and other settings where agricultural chemicals are applied through an irrigation system that is directly connected to the water supply. Agricultural chemicals include fertilizers and pesticides, and the person that's operating the system is responsible for obtaining the permit and all regulatory requirements. You can complete the application online through the Minnesota Department of Agriculture website and pay the required fee, which is $250 for pesticide only, $250 for pesticide and fertilizer combined, or $50 for fertilizer only. And when you fill out the application, the operator must certify that all anti-pollution requirements have been met and all anti-pollution devices are properly installed. So again, if you have questions on that or want to look that up, you can go to the Minnesota Department of Agricultural website and just look at where permits are needed for applying pesticides or fertilizers through irrigation systems. Again, this is Greg Berg with the Stearns County Soil and Water Conservation District, giving you the weekly conservation update. Have a great day.